Tyler Catastrophe is a trans man in his mid-20s from Texas who went extremely viral on TikTok for his obsession with Wilbur Soot, disgraced YouTuber and lead singer of Lovejoy. Now, if that's all Tyler had done, we wouldn't be here today. Tyler's Wilbur obsession goes quite deep, from wanting to move out of the country to be closer to Wilbur, to defending Wilbur after major controversy. All of this and so much more has made Tyler a pretty infamous figure online. But in my humble opinion, all of this started from one video, and that was Tyler's defense of Wilbur after some pretty disturbing allegations came out against him. Wilbur Soot was accused by an ex of being physical with her, particularly biting her so much that eventually she was covered in bruises. And when she finally spoke out against what Wilbur had been doing to her, both the nature of the violence and Wilbur's status as a popular YouTuber made this situation extremely viral, with almost everyone agreeing that Wilbur was in the wrong. Not even he could defend his own actions, issuing a full apology. But there was one voice in defense of Wilbur that spoke louder than anyone else, and that was Tyler Catastrophe.
I'm talking about how many people are training their audiences to be internet attack dogs, which is not cool. And right now, it's really hard to be on the internet. Feels like every other day we're getting someone who's secretly a terrible person. But I'm starting to realize that a lot of people don't know the difference between fucking up and abusing people. And as someone who has been abused, kind of a lot, I'm gonna explain the difference. Because if you don't know the difference, there are a lot of people who will try to use you as a weapon against the people they don't like. And I don't know about you, but I don't like being used for anything. So if you find yourself asking, is this person an abuser, or did they just fuck up somehow? Here are some questions that you should always ask. The first question's a little gray, but it has to do with intention. Did they knowingly hurt you on purpose? And if you know for a fact that they did it on purpose, then yeah, that person sucks, they're an abuser. But if you can't be sure they knew they were hurting you, you have to ask yourself another question. This one's a two-parter. One, did you tell them it hurt you? Because if you didn't, I'm sorry, you have to. You can't assume they know unless you tell them. But after you tell them, you have to ask, how did they respond to you telling them? Did they get angry? Did they blame you? Did they hurt you more? Did they try to shut you up somehow? Then yeah, unfortunately, probably an abuser. Or did they find out that they hurt you and apologize? Did they validate your feelings? Did they promise to change? Did they make genuine efforts to better themselves towards you and people around them? And I'm not giving you this information because I think that someone specific deserves to be absolved of all crimes or something. I'm giving you this information because as someone who has been abused more times than I'd like to tell you about, I still believe that everyone deserves a chance to be forgiven. And with all the time and energy we spend hoping people in our lives will change, you cannot hope for that without allowing them to change when they realize they've f***ed up. And if you want people to be better, you have to let them try to be. And unfortunately, the elephant in many of these discussions is that it's really easy to lie. And also, it's really easy for someone to vastly exaggerate when they're mad at someone. That's just humans at this point. So if someone you don't know on the internet is telling you something about someone else you don't know on the internet, please just take a step back, take a deep breath, ask yourself some questions, because chances are you don't have all the information.
It seemed like Tyler's defense of Wilbur consisted of two major points. One being that he doesn't think Wilbur knew he was doing something wrong, and the second is that she apparently consented to this. Neither of these points seem to be true, especially when you take into consideration that the victim's story paints a completely different picture.
But his biting escalated to a point where I was covered in bruises all over my arms, and they hurt, and he would poke at them for fun. And he even felt so comfortable showing off my bruises that he had caused to our friends because he would bite me so hard by accident. By accident, he would even joke that it looked like he abused me. And eventually he did acknowledge how bad it looked that I was covered in bruises all the time. So he stopped biting my arms as often, and he started biting my legs instead. And it was in the last couple of months of the relationship that every time he bit me, it was until I needed to use this safe word. It had become his benchmark for when to stop. Only once I was definitely hurt. Which meant I was being hurt every single day, multiple times a day, for all of the days that we spent together in person. And when I asked him to stop again, this time he said, this is who he is. He isn't going to change.
This was the type of behavior that Tyler was defending, and the situation was made only worse when people realized that Tyler was using all of the newfound attention to profit. But it's how Tyler planned to use that profit that made him even more viral. Tyler had started a GoFundMe, labeled Help a Disabled Trans Man Move from Texas to the UK. Tyler said that this move was for his art, claiming to be a jewelry maker, artist, and poet, but it immediately became clear that Tyler was just trying to move closer to Wilbur. And Tyler had a plan on making this dream happen. He was going to start a GoFundMe and sell bead jewelry.
Hi, if you could do me a favor and just watch this video all the way through and maybe send it to someone who likes cool jewelry, cool art, and supporting independent artists, I'd really appreciate you. This month actually marks the 3-year anniversary of me getting to do all of this full-time, and as a disabled transgender artist currently stuck living in Texas, I could really use some reasons to celebrate. And I have a lot of very big plans for this year, and a lot of them are to do with my amazing hand-beaded jewelry that all ties in the back with a ribbon, making them fully adjustable and size-inclusive. Because how could I make stuff like this with my own hands and not have bigger plans for it later on? But every single one of those plans feels a little bit not easy because of where I live, but I am trying so hard to just keep on a brave face. It would still be really cool if the universe could swoop in with the assist right about now. I was supposed to move to England 2 years ago. That's crazy. I'm still trying though, I'm not giving up. That's why this is still in my bio. The only way to get through is to keep chugging along. So, I'm on a quest to move out of Texas by selling 800 gay little bracelets, and I need your help to do it. So please like, comment, share, follow, repost, do all the things. There's a lot of things. Because this is day 14, and so far we've sold 283 bracelets and 76 chokers. Shout out to my roommate for immediately embellishing my board with our favorite football team.
Tyler would constantly reiterate that they weren't moving to Brighton for Wilbur, while also making videos explaining his love for Wilbur, who Tyler claims to have a massive crush on.
Do you know there's a difference between embarrassing and morally wrong, right? They're not the same thing. Because, oh my god, it is so not that serious. Is it embarrassing to publicly admit that you have a crush on someone? Yes. Is it also embarrassing to admit the person you have a crush on has a larger following than you do? Yeah, sure. But having a crush and feeling emotions about a person you don't know is not inherently wrong. I'm not out here writing self-insert fanfiction or building a shrine to our love in my fucking closet. I said that I had a crush on a guy who I do not know, and that we met one time, made eye contact, and it gave me butterflies. I said it in a way that wasn't strictly literal, because I'm an artist and a poet, and I like to say the pretty words. And y'all are out here acting like I trained an AI chatbot to talk like him. And for the record, we are strictly against AI in this house, just so you know. But are y'all really so online that you forgot that being human is allowed? Yes, he's successful, and there are other people who want him, and he has a larger following than me, and I've had a crush on him for more than a couple years. But he is just a guy. He is just a guy. And yes, having a crush on him makes it hard for me to have a crush on literally anyone else, because he is proof that all the qualities I want in a partner exist as one coherent person. And why the fuck would I want to settle for someone who doesn't have those qualities when I know that those qualities exist? But I'm not out here saying that he's the only person who's allowed to date me. He's the only one who's allowed to try, and if I just wait long enough, he'll fall in love. No! If he asked me out, I would say yes. That is all I said. This is disgustingly parasocial. Do you know what parasocial means? Do you? Because having a crush on someone is not inherently parasocial. Convincing myself that he also has a crush on me and that he wants to marry me, that would be parasocial. Because I don't fucking know the guy. And that's not what I fucking said. But the thing that really gets me is that everything I said in that video, I have said several times in other videos. I just didn't put a name to it. And the second I put a name to it, y'all start acting like I'm an obsessed stalker who knows everything about him and is following him around the town.
I have seen a lot of people poking fun, saying that Wilbur is of course not interested in Tyler, but I haven't seen anyone calling that morally wrong. What it seems most people have moral objection to is Tyler's defense of Wilbur and dismissal of his victim. And what compounded people's interest was that Tyler was going to all these lengths to be with someone who had done what Wilbur had, resisting an onslaught of social media criticism to raise money for the planned move.
My name is Tyler, and I'm currently in the process of using my beaded jewelry as a means to move all the way from Texas to England. Point. And right now, we're in the final stretch. Meeting last year's goal meant that I was able to take care of everything keeping me here and remove a ton of obstacles. And after about 2 years of padding my resume, now all that's really left is getting my visa endorsed and covering the actual moving expenses. And I am 100% determined to let 2026 be the last year I ever live in Texas. But I do have a small confession to make. See, I don't know if you know this, but England is really small, especially to an American. So when I first started talking publicly about this goal, a lot of people were wondering where specifically I wanted to move to. And I'll be honest, I didn't want to answer. And while I really didn't want to offend anyone by not answering, I also really didn't want to tell the truth. So me being me, I just picked a popular, well-known city that I knew I'd be spending a considerable amount of time in. That being Brighton. I love their football club, I love their thriving art and music scene, it's a beautiful place.
Wilbur's suit has been infamously dubbed the Brighton Biter, and is well known to be a resident of the city, so just about nobody was buying the fact that Tyler had moved there for his love of football. This was what looked like the beginnings of a stalking attempt upon Wilbur, but Tyler would continue to dismiss the accusations, defending his reasoning for not moving to the UK yet, and why he had picked that particular city to move to.
If y'all think I would make a massive, life-altering decision that takes years of work to achieve, just because I was willing to admit on the internet that I think a musician I don't know has a pretty laugh, then y'all really have the wrong idea. And I suppose you have a better explanation? I was supposed to move to Bournemouth a couple years ago. I had a job lined up, I did a ton of research, made a ton of preparations, admittedly got a little too excited because it ended up falling through at the last minute. But when I finally dusted myself off and got myself back on track, and decided I could probably just move out of the US on my own, England was the easiest choice because I had already done so much of the work. But why Brighton specifically? But when I visited England and met the people I had hoped to be working with, I completely fell in love with the South Coast. I've always wanted to live near the ocean and it's gorgeous. And Brighton is a really popular city right now. I've got a bunch of friends and support in the area, and like with most college towns, it's got a thriving art and music scene. And people keep telling me it's the gay capital of the UK, which I think is hilarious. You expect me to believe that's the only reason? I'm sure I'm not the only guy in the world who would let his decision to move somewhere be influenced by a sports team. And why would you like their football club if not for a crush? I grew up in the sport. My whole family played, we helped run a non-profit youth club. I was a referee for 6 years. And when it comes to the Premier League, most of the other teams, Chelsea, Arsenal, Bournemouth, Leicester City, to me, they all play like assholes. They time waste, they flop, they play dirty. Brighton actually plays the game.
Tyler wants to act like the concept of him moving to England for Wilbur is preposterous. Do you really think that he would uproot his life to do that? Of course we do. Tyler's obsession with Wilbur has been well documented, and we've even seen the lengths that Tyler will go to defend Wilbur and face immense backlash for it. But I also think that Tyler was putting up with the situation because they were profiting. Amongst all of the criticism that Tyler had gotten for defending Wilbur, there was a growing amount of genuine support, and these people would donate thousands of dollars to his GoFundMe, making Tyler's dream of moving to Brighton for no particular reason closer to a reality.
With all of the awful that has happened the past few weeks, I did take some time alone to myself. But now I've had a few too many friends reach out worried about me, so hi, here I am. I'm the kind of person that has been called resilient so many times in my life that I've started hating the word. Because like, what other options are there than getting through it? I don't know. But while I've been waiting for the this too shall pass to happen, I've been focusing on my work. I should have another post office run this week. The goal to sell 1,000 bracelets is still in place. And the GoFundMe is basically the only thing I'm hoping for my birthday in April. That and tattoos. Tattoos would be nice. A paid trip to basically anywhere would also be good, but I figure tattoos are more accessible. But seriously, thank you so much for all the kind words and support. I promise I am okay. I am not a danger to myself or others. And I've basically abandoned my DM requests. But I appreciate you all so incredibly much for sticking with me through all of this. Even knowing that I've done nothing wrong, it's still a difficult thing to go through.
Tyler also began taking regular breaks from posting on TikTok, along with turning off their comments sections. But despite all of the backlash he was getting, Tyler would not take back what he had said on Wilbur, continuing to defend him, after millions of people online had criticized Tyler for it.
And I have never been anything but kind, respectful, and compassionate. A little bit sassy now and then, but who isn't?
Look at any of my other videos, look at how I interact with people in the comments, because if there's one thing staying completely consistent, it's that I'm not horrible. You can disagree with me, you can not like me, you can believe whatever you want to believe about me, but I will not believe it for you. I stand by what I said because I know I'm coming from a place of integrity and experience. The only person I'm obsessed with is me because I'm amazing. And sitting here expecting me to bend, to pretend to be someone I'm not just so that you can justify the way you're treating me, is simply not how I do things. So whether you're here about a video about a crush that I exaggerated for entertainment purposes, or from a 2-year-old video where I encourage people to think for themselves and consider that there's a lot of information they don't know, in a situation where the worst accusation was biting and the person doing the accusing said herself it was consensual,
I don't know if it's kind, loving, or compassionate to completely dismiss what a victim says, especially when even the perpetrator has admitted to doing wrong. It blows my mind that even Wilbur says this is indefensible. Personally, I think Tyler is so obsessed with Wilbur that he could do anything and it wouldn't change the way that Tyler looks at him. I also have no doubt that if there wasn't an entire ocean separating them, Tyler would be much more stalker-like towards Wilbur. People have, of course, told Tyler about this, but he couldn't care less.
I said I have a crush on a guy in a band who I do not know and have met once. And because I was not strictly literal in a video that was for entertainment, I have somehow become the target of a weeks-long ridiculous smear campaign that, frankly, I don't want to understand. And while part of me knows that it's probably smart to just hope it dies out, it just keeps getting worse, so I'm gonna say some shit. I am not the one stalking comment sections hoping to see someone I do not know. You are. I am not the one making fake accounts to stalk someone I do not know. You are. I am not the one making money off of lying and talking about someone I do not know. You are. I am not the one writing fanfiction and making edits and drawing fan art and using AI to make slop of people I don't know kissing. You are. I'm not the one pretending to be related to someone just to spread lies. You are. I said that I thought a guy was hot and funny and interesting in a video where I was not strictly literal. And then I said that because I am confident and like myself, that maybe he would like me if he gave me a chance, if he was interested in men, because again, I don't know his sexuality. I do not care where he lives. I do not care who he's seeing. I do not care what he does for fun in his free time because it has no effect on my life. I have a physical type. He happens to be that type. I have very high standards. I do not want someone who does not meet that standard. So really the only thing I have to say to the people who are using my name to get views and make money in a way that is not true and is very deceptive, I hope you plan to donate every single cent that you have made off of misrepresenting my character and using my name for views. To the ACLU, to Planned Parenthood, to the people of Palestine or Lebanon or the Congo or Sudan, to Indigenous or Black Lives Matter charities. You have a lot of options, because frankly, every other problem on Earth right now is bigger and more important than a guy who has a crush on another guy. And while it would be nice to have a little more money, because I have goals of my own to work towards, I want absolutely nothing to do with any of that money. And otherwise, I hope you end up regretting every single cent you have made off of misrepresenting me, because I am a good person.
Tyler fails to grasp that what people find so preposterous about all this is that his obsession lies with the person who has been thoroughly disgraced and accused of doing some pretty terrible things. But Tyler seems to justify Wilbur's behavior because it was biting, and him not giving the victim a black eye. The reality is that she was covered in bruises that he liked to poke for fun. He's responsible, so the way they got there doesn't really matter. What did matter was that he was held accountable, And though it may not have happened in an actual court, it certainly did in the court of public opinion. I will never forget the couple of months that him and I'm Alex got absolutely roasted by every commentary channel. Of course, you're always going to have holdouts when it comes to individuals like this. People who don't believe they're guilty or believe they are but have changed. And Tyler is without a doubt one of those people for Wilbur. You can tell just by the way Tyler talks about Wilbur that this has gone way beyond being a fan, descending into obsession, and what he thinks is the beginning of love.
I have had a crush on Will Gold since 2019 when I heard him laugh in the background of someone else's video and it felt like life itself leaned in to listen. Which is really inconvenient for me because I am very much a one soul at a time kind of person, so once I develop a crush, virtually no one else stands a chance ever. And at the time, I had just broken off a terrible engagement to a guy who didn't even fucking like me. And since then, I have only briefly dated one other person who was wonderful, but it didn't work out. And so in all of that time, regardless of how many people have tried and been interested in me, I have not been able to find the interest for any single one of them, because I have a fucking crush on a guy I have interacted with once. And I don't even officially know his sexuality. That's a whole other thing. And I have tried so hard to move on from this, to let it go, because I want so badly for it not to cross over into parasocial territory. But in like the 7 minutes that we spoke to each other, one, every time we made eye contact, I thought my heart was gonna fucking burst out of my chest and fly away. Two, I was so nervous that my head just shut off and my mouth had a mind of its own. And anyone who knows me and has ever met me knows that I don't get nervous about people. What the hell was that? Three, he somehow managed to make me want to write music again, something I have not done since my last band broke up in 2019 and I got hit by a car and couldn't sing anymore. And I can sing again now. It took several years, but I got it back because I'm amazing. But how dare you pull my spark back out from underneath the ashes I spent years burying it under because it hurt too much to think about. In like 2 sentences. It's rude. And 4, he failed to take a selfie with me because he was operating on like iPhone settings and I have an Android and I accidentally called him adorable. And all of this is made worse because I have been recognized at every single concert I've been to in the past year and a half, including 2 of his. And I've been on the Lovejoy Nation podcast twice. So no matter how many times I try to sweep this under the rug and move on with my life, there's always that little thing in the back of my head saying, there's a non-zero chance.
Like I said previously, Tyler's obsession with Wilbur is well documented, but somehow he wants everyone to believe that his planned move to Brighton has nothing to do with Lovejoy. But it's my belief that the exact opposite is going on, and that Tyler believes one of the only things holding him back from being in the band itself is location. That's right, Tyler doesn't just love Wilbur, he also wants to be the second vocalist in his band.
Do you want a second vocalist? My name is Tyler Salona. I'm 26 years old. I live in Texas, but I'm trying to move to England anyway. I'm a massive extrovert. I've been performing since I was 10, and in 2019, I was actually a semi-professional vocalist, but then had to spend almost 5 years getting my voice back after losing it completely because someone hit me with their car. But through the sheer force of audacious determination, I now have my voice back and my vocal stamina, which basically means that now that I can go back to music, not doing so makes everything else feel unfulfilling and sad. I figured I might as well shoot my shot. And I also play the trumpet, which is probably helpful. Anyway, here's Portrait of a Blank Slate. The whole thing. I hope you like it. I mean, you probably like it already, let's be honest. It is your song, but I also hope you like the parts that I'm gonna do. The singing part. You know.
He told me that much and now he's dead. Told me to kill my indulgences with a sharp blow to the temple. Pick up the phone, call and do everything he says. I could take a plastic hammer.
Before we go any further, I want to get deeper into the allegations against Wilbur's suit. A couple of years back, one of Wilbur's ex-girlfriends named Shelby would come out against him with some damning allegations. Like we discussed earlier, it was biting, and some other pretty abhorrent behavior. Right now we're going to cover some more clips from Shelby, so that if you don't know, you can get a better understanding of the person Tyler is defending and why they were lambasted so heavily for it.
He always cared more about how it looked, and that was really important, not what was true. And it was really subtle. When I hear about physical abuse, I think of hitting. I think of hitting and punching. So I thought that this wasn't violent enough to be abuse. I thought that it was just like a constant accident that he kept hurting me. But he's not hitting me. And it didn't start as something that he did to hurt me. He had this habit of biting, which is so weird to me now, but he said that he had had this habit since he was a kid, and even his mom said that that was true. And he said it was just affectionate, and that might have been, I mean, I think that might have been true maybe at the start, but I also feel that I have good reason to believe that every part of it was a lie, but that's just my personal opinion. But he did mention something early that I should have taken as a red flag. And he wanted to make sure that I was okay with him biting me because he didn't want me to come back later and say that he abused me, which I thought was really weird considering he had never hurt me before. And so why would I call it abuse? And why was he thinking about that? And I thought he was being sweet, checking on me to make sure that I was still comfortable. But of course I was, because he hadn't hurt me. And why would I think he ever would? And then he did for the first time by accident. And I don't specifically remember the actual first time that he bit me too hard by accident because I didn't think that it would be significant. I thought that it would only happen once. And he started biting me more and more over a period of time, sort of throughout the whole relationship. And accidents of him biting too hard and really hurting me happened more and more frequently. But he always seemed genuinely sorry. And he decided that he didn't want to keep accidentally hurting me. So we were going to use a safe word. So he could learn where my limit was, where my pain tolerance ended. And saying that out loud now doesn't sound like that's not very sound logic. But at the time I thought he cared about not hurting me. But in reality, it's like, why are you biting so hard? And why do you have to bite so hard? And he disguised it as this really quirky part of our relationship and was so comfortable sharing it with his friends to the point that he would do it in front of them. He thought it was this really funny story to tell and a good bit to take my arm and bite me in front of everybody until I literally shout in pain. And then I have to laugh it off because I'm so embarrassed and I don't want to cause a scene in front of all of our friends. And I'm sure everyone was a little bit uncomfortable, but as long as I was saying that it was fine, nobody really felt like they needed to be concerned, and that's not anybody's fault because I was lying. I was lying, and it wasn't fine because I would go home later and I'd tell him how uncomfortable I was, how much I didn't like being hurt all the time. And I needed him to really stop biting so hard. I didn't like it, and I tried telling him over and over again because he wasn't actually trying at all to not hurt me.
When Wilbur addressed these allegations, he basically owned up to them, claiming that what he did was wrong and he would work on it in the future. That doesn't mean the criticism has stymied at all. I highly doubt Wilbur's career will ever recover, nor should it. But it seems he will always have superfans, stans, like Tyler. But it's far from easy to defend Wilbur's actions, and nobody knows that better than Tyler. Tyler would face immense criticism from the internet, and it goes even beyond Wilbur's suit or the things covered in this video. There were many reasons that many people disliked Tyler, and at first he seemed to somewhat deal with criticism, even responding to comments.
I'm actually a really cool person. I might have given you tips and tricks.
I'm gonna be so honest with you, babes. These comments make no sense to me. Like, can you just not grow facial hair? Do you not understand anatomy? Because this is jaw. This is neck. This is jaw. Neck, jaw. Like, I can understand if you called it a chin strap. Like, it's not. It's just not. But, like, if you called it that, I would understand a little bit more. But there's no hair on my neck. I shave my neck. I trim here, I shave here. I shave my cheeks because I don't like it on my cheeks. You can just say you don't get it. If you want to insult me, pick something else. Because right now, you're just annoying. And, like, that's it. So, yeah, no hair on my neck. None at all.
Not even a little. However, I do make jewelry for your neck.
But this jovial attitude towards critical comments did not last long. The most prevalent question was, why wouldn't he take back his defense of Wilbur? Even Wilbur said what he did was wrong. And at this point, Tyler had seen immense backlash across all of social media. But despite all of this, he still defended Wilbur and stuck to his original statement.
Because with anything else, I just felt that there wasn't enough information and a lot of conflicting information that I didn't fully understand and didn't want to speak on because I didn't understand it. And because I saw a lot of people treating Wilbur's statement as an admission of guilt, when to me it did seem genuine and like he honestly didn't understand the extent of the harm he had done and was doing therapy and stuff to be better in the future, I felt very strongly about the way it was being treated from an outside perspective.
Tyler claims that there wasn't a lot of information or that there was conflicting information. Well, I've seen numerous streamers talk about Wilbur's biting habits, some of them finding it pretty gross. It was well known, especially amongst his friends, but somehow, I guess because he wasn't smacking her around, he got away with it. Until he didn't. But people like Tyler and other die-hard Lovejoy fans still defend his actions, all but saying they believe Shelby is a liar, over-exaggerating, or like one of Tyler's more popular talking points, isn't telling us the whole story.
So if you are only here hoping to see me crash and burn, go fuck yourself. And if you're here trying to see if what you've heard is true, it's not. You can look at everything I've said. I've left it all up. I stand by what I've said. Because even the worst thing they could find on me was me saying that they should think and consider carefully before allowing themselves to be used as an internet attack dog on behalf of people they do not know. Because there will always be information you do not know. I stand by that 1000%. Not sorry. And to Will Gold, on the off chance that you see this, personally, kind of hope you haven't seen any of it, but to you, I am sorry, because clearly, this has gone so fucking far, and I didn't intend any of it. This whole thing sucks, and I don't like it. But other than that, I have no other apologies.
Another one of Tyler's claims is that people were using their audiences as internet attack dogs against Wilbur, also claiming that a big point of his initial video defending Wilbur was that people shouldn't do that. But that's not at all what I've gotten from this situation. People are entitled to their opinions, and just because a large amount of people share the same opinion doesn't invalidate their opinion. The internet was well within its rights to criticize Wilbur the way it did, and just because it's not doing exactly what Tyler wants doesn't make it some evil mechanism, which he insinuates is being used by Wilbur's victim, Shelby, like she's rallying all these people to pick up pitchforks and torches against Wilbur. All she did was share her story of her time with Wilbur, and from that point, people drew their own conclusions. Most people thought that Wilbur was a piece of shit. Well, not Tyler, and when Tyler decided to voice that opinion publicly, he was then opened to criticism. But as these things tend to do, it went way too far. Tyler even claiming that he and his family had started to receive death threats, along with other reasons why going viral had negatively impacted his life.
And when the death threats started, I think we all greatly underestimated just how far some people were going to go in order to hurt me and the people I care about. My family, my friends, anyone and everyone who has ever interacted with or supported me in any way. And by the time I realized what was happening, it was every second of every day, and I didn't know what the fuck to do. And in trying to put out any fire I could reach, I made a lot more mistakes, and every time I thought it was going to be okay, something else happened. And because I have a lot of commitments keeping me online, the GoFundMe orders I need to finish, I could not step away. So I wound up in this awful spiral, barely eating, barely sleeping. So I completely checked out for a day or two, trying to just let myself catch up. And if you don't mind, I would like very much to try again. So, firstly, I do not refer to myself as Two-Spirit. I have mistakenly done so in the past, in 2023, I think, in a video I honestly thought I deleted, because I realized right after I posted the video that I fucked up. And when I made a more recent video about the differences between my own beadwork and the beadwork done by other native and indigenous peoples around me, ended up unearthing that old video that I had already self-corrected and again thought I had deleted. With everything else going on, I panicked. I ended up making another video that I did not think through. The words that I ended up saying were entirely wrong.
It's sad to say, but threats like this are extremely common when it comes to posting on social media. Before going viral for his defense of Wilbur, Tyler had come from a generally small community, one that I can only assume was very positive. But in the span of a few weeks, Tyler became one of the most talked about people on TikTok, and the subject of many videos. That opened him up to a new, massive audience, giving him immense criticism and thousands of dollars for his GoFundMe. But it seemed like to Tyler the pros did not outweigh the cons. About a week after his viral status peaked, he completely vanished from social media and has not been seen since. Tyler has been known to take breaks in the past, but from what I can tell it's been a couple of months and no word. Why that is, I don't think we'll ever know. Regret for defending Wilbur, taking the money and running, or most likely being unable to handle the immense criticism. One thing is for certain, that for Tyler, all of this was a catastrophe.